Hello, this is Brian Snyder of Your Body Never Lies. Welcome to my second channel. My first channel is Your Body Never Lies. This is my personal channel where I tell stories of my own personal spiritual training, and also sometimes I suppose I enjoy lecturing or giving discourse. So today we're talking about like versus trust, because what we like and what we trust are two different things. And if you have any interest in shifting what you like into becoming something you trust, that's what we're going to talk about today. And as an example, my favorite example is that we like our intuition, but we trust our suffering. And Your Body Never Lies is a body language training program. It's specifically designed to shift that basis of trust that we put onto our suffering, right? Because we know we are suffering and we trust it. Take that sense of trust and put it onto intuition. Put it onto your feeling of connection so that you trust that. And well, that's a magical place to be. It's what we're looking for, and it's what I'm here to talk about today. I will accept questions, so if you'd like to chat in questions, I'll definitely get to them. The reason we trust suffering is that it's been repeated so darn frequently. Our old suffering that hasn't been resolved yet gets regurgitated and resolved. When we get upset or triggered, the reason we're being triggered, or the reason it's called triggering, is that our old unresolved upsets are coming up out of the past and basically making a huge deal out of something small in the present moment. And if we're simply being present and not being triggered, we can usually handle whatever's in front of us. But when our body trusts suffering and trusts that things are going to get out of control, then we get triggered. And it's not that we enjoy, because we definitely don't like that, but our body trusts it. And the evidence that our body trusts it is that it gets repeated, right? If you're not sure what you trust, just look at what your body repeats. What do you repeat? Do you break up with people as soon as you think they might break up with you? Do you fail at your jobs in the same way every time? There are ways that we create our own suffering because we trust it. And well, if you haven't noticed, I do these discourses without notes and without a script. So sometimes I need to collect my thoughts. This idea that we trust what's been repeated over and over, that's actually related to what most traditions call ego, at least in English. So we're going to look at that in a second too. But really what matters, or what gives us joy in life, are the things that we like, right? Things like feeling connected, like having an awesome connection with people, or with a sense of connection with Creator. Or we like having intuition, right? Having intuition, knowing what's going on or knowing what's about to go on, that can be very helpful for a sense of well-being, or sense of, just sense of being connected, really. That's why I like intuition. And that can be hard to trust. And to know if you trust your intuition or not, if you get intuitive hits, but you don't act on them, that means you aren't actually trusting them. If you get an intuitive hit and you don't act on it, but then something happens, you go, oh, I knew that was going to happen. That's an indication that you don't trust the intuitive information. You like it, right? You like getting intuitive information, but you don't trust it enough to act on it. And Your Body Never Lies. Wow, I need to take a breath. Your Body Never Lies is about shifting that sense of trust from our suffering and from our triggers, and taking that sense of trust and putting it onto intuition and onto our sense of connection and the experience of love, or unconditional love, that basically permeates the universe. So Shifting that though is not just it's not an intellectual activity. You can't just think to yourself, "Oh, I'm not going to trust my suffering anymore, and I'm going to trust intuition." No, no, no. It doesn't actually work. Why? Well, because what matters is your body, right? Or you can call it your subconscious mind, you can call it your body's habits, you can call it whatever you want. But the grounded sense of self contained within your body needs to be trained to trust intuition. And it needs to be healed of its need to trust suffering. And that's completely different than you as the being experiencing all of this because you are already perfect and healed. There's nothing wrong with you. But you've got this container that holds on to old stuff that probably doesn't need to hold on to. And it's those filters between you and creation or you and your sense of connection. Your body never lies is about retraining your body. And we do it through several ways, mostly through exercises and experience. Your body never lies is not an intellectual or lecture activity. It's really about doing exercises and making life choices that shift perceptions and using those experiences to show our body a better way to be in the world. So, the first thing well, any questions yet? No, no questions. Okay. Well, I'm glad there's a couple people here. So, one thing that we all like is the feeling of love, right? We like that. We look for it. That's what life's about. We're searching for more love or increasing the love that we already have, expanding that. But we don't really trust it. What we trust is not enough. Like the not enoughness of life is what we end up looking for. So you could be in a relationship and unconsciously or without really noticing that we do it, instead of looking for ways to increase the amount of love we have in that relationship, we look for how it's not enough, right? And then we start taking note of how it's not enough and start thinking about how it could be enough and start wondering if maybe we can find, something that is enough somewhere else. And well, of course, that doesn't work, but that's what we trust. And admitting to ourselves that we trust that not enoughness is the first step in shifting it. Because if you don't own it, you can't shift it, you can't heal it. But if you do own it, it's yours, then you do whatever you want with it. You don't need permission or outside forces or anything else. So if you're in a place where you're ready to own the fact that you trust not enough, you trust your own not enoughness, that somehow you're not wanted enough, you're not good enough, you're not lovable enough, or you're not smart enough, whatever your current not enoughness is, if you recognize that it's yours, right? And I get that it's not really personal, we've all got it, but don't worry about other people, just worry about you. Recognize that your own not enoughness is your own. Start from there, and then we can talk about shifting it because that not enoughness, right? It's a lie. It's just something there that your body throws in front of you for protection. It throws a not enough in front of you to prevent change because your body wants to stay alive no matter what. And when I say your body, I also mean your subconscious, your ego, whatever else. However you want to, whatever label you want to put on that is fine. But that desires survival above everything else. And the only way it knows how to survive is to repeat things that you have already survived. That's why it trusts suffering, because if you can own this, you've been looking at not enough your whole life, and that is what your body trusts. So, what you can do when you come to the Your Body Never Lies College is you can unravel where that comes from and truly be done with it and show your body a better way to be, a better way to survive without repeating the past. But without getting into a long, although simple process of unraveling that, there's simple things you can do. But when you recognize it, you can pop yourself out of it rather quickly. So we will get to that. Stick around. What we like is love, but we don't really trust it. When love shows up, right? We start wondering what's wrong with it, right? And that's us looking for the not enough about it. So when we're ready to really feel the love that's everywhere around here, what we're really telling ourselves, because we're all ready for love. I mean, love is just the awesome thing that we all would look feel all the time, right? And I'm talking about the really good unconditional love that doesn't require you to think a certain way or behave a certain way or do certain things, but just be yourself, right? So loving being yourself is of course the key, and loving being alive in the world, that's another key. And trusting that though, right? Learning to trust that is really what matters. And learning to trust that is not an intellectual activity. It's something you feel in your body. But you're never going to trust these positive things, a positive trust the love, trust success, right? While your body trusts not enough. And success versus failure is another great example. We all like success, but the fact is, most of us trust failure. Why? Because we're certain that we're not enough to get what we want. That's what we trust. So, again, this is a little silly. I'm going around in circles a little bit because I'm always trying to point back to you. You get to own this feeling of not enoughness because really, and I know because I did it, was not born above this stuff. I pulled myself out. That not enoughness, right? You've pushed it away your whole life. You've ignored it, or you've told yourself that, oh, that's not real, or you've figured out ways to cope with it or hide it from other people. But you know what? Every time you pushed it away, every time you tried to hide it, you were basically validating it. You're saying, oh, wow, this is real. And you proved that it was real by hiding it. But you know what? It's not real. And at the Your Body Never Lies College, which you can find by going to yourbodyneverlies.org, you're going to unravel all of this. And, it's simple, takes a bit of time. If you can spend 1 to 3 hours a week, it's probably going to take you a month, 2 months. I don't know. You don't want to spend more than an hour a day. So take at least a couple of weeks to do it, if you do jump in. But that sense of not enough that we push away, that pushing it away validates it, makes it more real, and creates another repetition of it happening. And because our body trusts repetition for survival, it looks for ways to recreate those repetitions. It looks for ways for you to go, aha, I knew I wasn't enough. Recognize that happens when it happens, and you can stop yourself and go, oh, this is that thing that isn't real. That's not real. And the way to shift it in the moment, and this is not going to heal it. It just shifts it aside for a moment so you can see what's going on. The thing to do is to notice, okay, what's the change that's happening? Because that's what puts ego into fear. It's change. So if you can recognize what the change is, just validate the change. Wow, I'm getting a promotion, right? When you get called into the boss's office and he starts telling you that there's an opening and he wants to, bring you up to the manager level or whatever, if you're not paying attention, your mind is going to start thinking about how all the ways that you are not enough to do this new job is going to pay you more money, right? And you're going to sit there and your body language is going to start looking like somebody who doesn't deserve what he's being given, or they. When that happens, recognize it and go, oh, there's change here. And if you simply recognize, oh, there's change happening, and put your attention on the change, and now notice how much you're enjoying the change. You're literally taking attention off of the negative thing that your body trusts and putting onto this positive thing that you consciously like or love. And moving your attention that way is a great way to sort of pop out and notice that you're not enough stuff, you're not enough thoughts, those filters that come up that kind of ruin your experience of life. They come up when change is about to happen. If you have no change in your life, you never have to worry about not enough. But in some ways, that might be an easy life. but that's not a life of growth. If you're looking for a life of spiritual growth, it's pretty much a guarantee that you're just going to keep hitting on these not enoughs because you keep changing and growing. That's what I'm about. I'm about spiritual growth, expansion, intuition. I love testing my intuition and finding out how connected I am. It's like the greatest feeling in the world. So, of course, that's what I'd like you to have as well. And I think I'm going to go over it again because this sort of just pulled it out of the sky live. But the basic trick here, the basic hack I'm giving you is whenever you notice not enough outside of yourself or you feel it within yourself, remind yourself and tell yourself that change is happening, right? But that's not the end of it. Find out what the change is. Look for it. And it might be super obvious. It probably is. Are you getting a promotion? Huh? Is your relationship breaking up with you? What's going on? You gonna drive a shiny new car for the first time in a long time? Whatever the change is, recognize that it's change itself that's creating the not enoughness. There is nothing outside of you that isn't not enough. Does that make sense? When you look outside yourself for not enough, you will not find anything that is enough. You can't. It's not possible because it's a filter. It's a filter that we see through, and you can't. It's just really tough for us to see through. So don't worry about it. Just set it aside for now. When you want to unravel the whole thing, come to the college. For now, right? When not enough comes up, just tell yourself, "Oh wow, there's change happening," and look for what the change is, and jump in. Because as soon as you jump into the change and it becomes familiar, the not enough voice goes away, right? It's only there to prevent change. Once the change happens, then there's nothing to prevent. And you probably recognize this cycle. I mean, you probably recognize it in high school, right? And when you're a freshman, you feel like you're not enough, you can't be there, whatever. And then when you're a senior, looking back, you can see all the freshmen coming in and all looking like they're not enough on their face. It's not that they're not enough. It's that they're experiencing change. And that is how ego deals with change. Ego is just deadly afraid that any change could mean end of survival. And so it just wants to keep everything the same. But you know what? Keeping things the same is stagnation. It's not fun. It leads to very boring life. It leads to all kinds of things that aren't fun. Growth, expansion, personal change, all these things, they bring up our not enoughs. We start feeling like we're not good enough to get it. Or if we don't feel it inside, we start seeing it outside. That thing over there isn't good enough, right? You're probably telling yourself, hey, this guy Brian isn't good enough to teach this, right? I mean, that means that there's change happening. So recognize, oh, wow, I've got change going on. Simply by putting your attention on it, your body can start trusting change because that's really what we're going for. When you get your ego to discontinue trusting repetition and get ego to trust expansion and growth, then spiritual growth, any kind of growth becomes easy. What becomes not enough is stagnation. When nothing happens and you don't change, and you don't learn anything new, that starts feeling not enough. And so you start reading new books or meeting new people and doing new things and looking for ways to change and grow, which is fun. And that's really, my teacher, Patrick Collard, loved to say that enlightenment isn't a place, it's a process. It's the process of lightening up. And this process of lightening up, of letting go this, heaviness of not enoughness, it does enlighten us. We do literally lighten up. You literally feel lighter. It opens up the blinders and allows us to try new things. I do all kinds of things that I never used to do. I mean, just during the pandemic, I've learned how to cook everything from, French food, not a lot of French food, but, I've definitely learned some cooking styles that I never had time to learn before. Yay, pandemic. And I'm making that joke because, of course, this change of the pandemic was definitely not enough, right? But, look at the balance. Look what you got out of it. There's always another side. And if you can look at the change and embrace it, the feeling of not enough can just be set aside. And when you'd like to really just, drop in a depth charge and get rid of your not enoughness and really enjoy spiritual growth and change simply as a matter of course, come to yourbodyneverlies.org, fill out the contact form, and just tell me that you've seen this video or some other video, whatever, just so I know you're not a bot. And I'll give you free access to the college. You can see the first few classes, you can take the first few classes, interact with me, you'll have access to social rooms. It's a network, it's not just a static website. There's plenty of opportunities to interact with me, get your questions answered, and get to the training in a good way that will leave you ready for expansion and will also leave you without this, this basically ball and chain of not enoughness. All right. Thanks for joining today. I'm glad you're here. And if you have any questions about this, feel free to contact me at the college. Otherwise, on Saturdays at my other channel, I do a live stream at 10 a.m. California time to answer questions about my main workshop called the YBNL Play Shop. If you look for Your Body Never Lies here on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find it. Look forward to seeing you there. Have a great day.